guys, I'm Clarke, and today I'm looking at a very special and slightly unusual way of pedal stacking. Before we get into it though, a little bit of housekeeping. I've got a range of merch out, which I'll put on screen now, so if you're interested, hit the merch link in the description below. And if you're interested in memberships, where you get early access to videos, additional content, and a direct chat with me and other members, there is also a link to memberships below, so go check that out and see if it's for you. Okay, so what is so special about this idea of pedal stacking? So usually you'd run one pedal into another in series, and that would be how you stack your pedals to get more gain, to get different tones, various different things. What's unique about what I'm doing today is I'm doing them in parallel. So instead of the signal passing through one pedal and into another, we now have the signal being split, going through each pedal separately, and then being joined together. So you get the two levels of overdrive completely separate. Now, the way I'm doing that is using the Boss line selector, which is a really, really cool utility pedal, can do a lot of different things. Today, I'm using the parallel mode. Now, that little intro clip you heard was two of my favorite overdrives, the Strymon Riverside and the Origin Effects Deluxe 55. I love both, and I wanted to try how they'd sound separately. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because there's a lot of awesome guitar tones out there that people like Chris Buck, Joe Bonamassa, various different people are achieving by using multiple amps. And it's something that I do myself when recording. So I'll track my main guitars left and right, and then I'll layer through maybe a different guitar, different amp, different overdrive, another left and right. And it just gives this 3D effect to the sound. It just thickens it out in a way one amp never can. So my hope here is to be able to implement a little bit of that three-dimensional sound onto a pedal board while only running into one amp. So there's a few things I want to try in this video. Initially, I'm just going to try these different overdrives together, and I've got this volume pedal set up only on side B, so I can control, in this case, the Deluxe 55's level completely independently, which is what I did in that intro clip. But I also want to try using a delay on side B. So I was chatting with Dan from that pedal show at the Birmingham Guitar Show a few weeks ago, and I was talking to him about this concept I had, and he suggested putting a delay on one of the two overdrives, and I'm going to use side B, to make a little bit more of a difference. You get a time difference as well as a tone difference between the two. So in order to do that, I have the HX1 from line 6. The reason I've chosen this as a delay pedal is because you can remove all the dry signal entirely, and it's the only delay pedal that I've got that you can do that. But I've also taken it one step further, and I've got the TC Mimic, which is a doubler pedal. Give it a go, see what happens. Okay, so I realized I kind of skipped over how the line selector works. Essentially, you've got a green knob, which is the A side, and a red knob, which is the B side, so I can control the levels individually. The idea of the volume pedal is just that I could do that with my foot on stage during a gig. Okay, so what I've done is I've put the line selector out of shot simply because I didn't have enough space for it, but essentially I've got both sides running equal volumes, and I'm going to control the volumes relative to each other with this volume pedal. So, to start off with, this is just the Strymon Riverside. Perfectly fine overdrive sound, it sounds great. But now let's see what happens if we blend in the Deluxe 55. What you're left with is this much thicker sound, because what you're essentially hearing is the overdrive of one frequency or one set of frequencies through the Riverside and a different set of frequencies through the Deluxe 55. If I now use the line selector to turn the Strymon off, you'll hear what I mean. That is the Deluxe 55. And that's the Strymon. They both sound cool on their own, a little bit lower level, but then we put them together, and you get this wonderfully thick overdrive. So the cool thing about this is you can pick two overdrives that have really different sounds, blend them together, and get a much fuller sound, which is what people often do when they run two amps. So let's try some other combinations, and then we'll move on to trying the delay thing. Okay, so now I've got two J Rocket pedals. I've got the Dude on side A, and I've got the Archer on side B. So a Dumble sound and a Clon sound. Very different sounding overdrives. I've not tried this pairing. Let's see what happens. So first, I'm going to dial in a cool sound using just the Dude. Sounds very Dumbly, he said, as if he's ever heard a Dumble. And now let's try the Archer. So let me turn off the Dude and turn on the Archer. Cool, very jangly, classic Clon style thing. Let's see what happens if we put them together. So starting with just the Dude. Okay, I'd say the Clon's a bit loud. Sorry, the Archer is a bit loud in relation to the Dudes. Let's just turn that down a little bit. I just wanted to add a little bit of clarity to it. Quite a cool sound. Before I get on to the next part of the video, I just wanted to remind you guys that when I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away this signed fuzz pedal that was used on the recording of the last Brave Rival album. So if you like gear, lessons, and other guitar-related videos, make sure you subscribe to be in with a chance of winning. So in the interest of not making this video disgustingly long, I'm going to try one more pedal combination, and then I'm going to move on to trying out the delay idea. If you do want to see me going through a whole bunch of overdrives, because I'm basically going to do this for my pedal board, so I'm going to try a whole bunch of combinations and see what I like. If you do want to see all that nerdy stuff, I'll do a members only video of me trying a whole bunch of different overdrives out. Probably less talking in that one. But yeah, for the real pedal nerds like me, go check out memberships, and there'll be an extended version of this with all the pedals that I can possibly dream of. Okay, so the Protein from Brown Application and the OCD from Full Tone. So starting off with my side A, which is the Protein, let's get a cool sound. Okay, sounds pretty good. Now let's try the OCD on its own. And now let's try them together. Now that's interesting. So what's happening there, if you hadn't clocked, is that as I was rolling in the OCD, the volume was actually getting quieter. And the more I turned up the volume on the OCD, the quieter it got. Now what that suggests is there's some kind of phase cancellation going on. And this is where you need to be a little bit careful running anything in parallel. Is if the signal takes longer to pass through one than the other, they're going to arrive at different times. Now, you're never going to hear that. We're talking a really small latency. But if the peak of one sound wave meets the trough of another, they will cancel. So let me just demonstrate that again. With the OCD off, that's the volume. As I roll it in, it gets thinner and a little bit quieter. Not usually what you'd expect. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and equalize the time by removing the volume pedal, which of course will take the signal a little bit of time to pass through. So let's see what happens if I remove that. Interesting. So what's causing the problem actually isn't the volume pedal, it's the fact that the protein obviously has two sides, so it's two pedals stacked together. If I only have one side on, in this case the green side, it behaves like you'd expect, where it gets louder when you bring the OCD in. So for whatever reason, I assume running it through more circuitry is creating more latency, having both sides stacked is causing a phasing problem. So that is actually something that I've got to be really, really wary of if I want to try stacking something that's got two sides like that, or putting two pedals together, something to be wary of. But now I've got it working, let's get a good sound out of the protein. It sounds great already. And we'll leave the sound on the OCD and let's blend them together. After all that faffing, actually a really, really nice sound. But something to be wary of, and that's phasing issues. So before I move on to using the delay pedal and the mimic, I just want to acknowledge something which I did touch on before, and you've probably noticed. When you put the volume pedal up, it increases the volume. Now that seems obvious, but what I'm really trying to do is change the relationship between the blends. So there are pedals that allow you to do this. I think the Wetterbox by Gigrig is one, where it truly allows you to control the blends. Because what you really want to do is, as you bring one in, you want the other one to go quieter, so the average volume or the overall volume stays the same. The way I'm doing it at the moment is when I've got one pedal on, it's quieter than when I bring in the second one. Now, if you're just going to run both stacked all the time as like your 2 amps, then that's not going to be a problem. But my plan was to try and like fade one in. I wonder if in a live scenario, that's not really going to be doable because the guitar volume will fluctuate way too much and the sound engineer will kill me. Okay, I've now got the OCD side only running through a delay with 100% mix. So there is no dry signal coming through from the OCD at all. It's all got this slight latency on, which I don't know how obvious it's going to be from a listener standpoint, but if I play only through the OCD with that delay, it's really horrible because there's a constant few milliseconds lag between me playing it and it coming out. Not sure if you'll hear that, but if I turn it off a sec, that's immediate. That's horrible. But I wonder if in context it might work, or maybe I need to lower the delay time. Let's find out. So here is both together without the delay. And that's introduced the delay. Definitely too much latency on there, so let's lower the delay time. 10 milliseconds, let's try it. Okay, I'm not noticing a delay anymore, so let's try it off and on. Interesting, to my ears in the room right now, I think it's actually fixing a slight phasing issue. Because with any phasing, it's not always as simple as you've got one peak and one trough. You can have them overlapping slightly, so the peaks are in slightly different places, then you get a slight phasing issue. So you can actually use this delay to kind of correct that. I'd say that sounds fuller than this. Yeah, I'm definitely hearing a phasing issue there. There's still something weird going on with the phasing. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to swap back to some of the pedals that I was using at the beginning before we had any phasing issues and see whether it's just the combination of pedals that isn't working. Okay, so these two I really like the sound of, so let's try this. I'd say it's the same. It's messing with the phasing, not necessarily in a one is bad, one is good way. It's kind of just tweaking it to get the thickness how you want it. So I think the delay thing can work. It just depends on how you set it up and what kind of thing you're trying to get out of it. Okay, the Mimic. So if I just show you what the Mimic does on one single overdrive, no parallel pass, nothing. I'll just do it on the Archer on its own. So it's supposed to be a slightly more sophisticated version of just automatic double tracking, where it just generates a second delayed signal, but instead of it being consistently delayed, it varies it slightly to make it sound more like it's two people playing. Bit of a weird effect, but let's see what happens if we blend it in. Okay, first without the Mimic. Then with it. Okay, what if we have no dry on this one? All effect. It's just too much phasing, I think. I don't think I like the delayed signal version on this. Maybe I'm just not doing it properly. I mean, I'll have another chat with Dan, see, and have a better understanding of it. I think for now, I'm just going to try blending two overdrives together. Now, of course, there's no reason this needs to only be overdrives. You can blend an overdrive with a compressor. You could do a reverb and a delay. You can do all sorts. I think I might do another video at some point on those two, because I think this video is going to be long enough. I'm now going to go play with a whole bunch of overdrives and see what I like the most. So if you're interested in watching that, go check out memberships. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon ticked to be notified of new videos. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.